almost 2 decades, NVIDIA's accelerated computing platform has helped the healthcare industry use the most advanced technologies to improve human health. In medical imaging, breakthroughs in accelerated computing made advanced diagnostics possible. New devices gave doctors better tools, scan times shortened, futures were changed. As computing advanced, so did the vision. CT scans now capture 4.5 billion times more information, revealing every detail. Accelerated computing made AI possible, and AI enables recognizing problems faster and catching diseases earlier. Now we are at a new frontier where every hospital, patient room, and medical device will embody AI. AI brings precision care to those who need it most. Genomics has advanced from decoding the human genome in days to minutes, turning complex signals into insights. Today, genomic sequences are being designed by generative AI and paving the way for groundbreaking treatments. With accelerated computing, molecules are modeled and simulated at atomic precision. New digital agents help scientists design experiments, develop therapies, and push the boundaries of discovery. Every breakthrough isn't just about technology.
Hi, Maroka.
Hi, Anna. It's good to see you again.
It's about people, giving patients the best chance to heal and recover. That's why, together, we can do what's never been done. Accelerated computing, AI, and robotics. Together with you, our partners, we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And this is just the beginning.
All right, it's my great pleasure today to welcome you to the talk of our NVIDIA Senior Director for Healthcare and Business Development, Rory Keller.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Appreciate it. Thank you, obviously, to this incredible ecosystem of partners that we've been working with, in some cases, for decades. Also want to say a special thank you to the NVIDIA healthcare team in particular that pulled off miracles to make this happen in a mere 6 weeks. And also thank you to VivaTech to join up the #1 AI conference in the world with Europe's Tech Rendezvous. Before I came in here today, I had the opportunity to catch up with folks from Paris, folks from Copenhagen, folks from Denmark. This is London in the UK. This is just an incredible opportunity to pull together all the incredible partners that NVIDIA has been working with, because GTC really is about celebrating and learning about the latest applications in accelerated computing, an approach that NVIDIA pioneered more than 30 years ago. And this approach to computing has given rise to perhaps the most powerful technology force of our time, not just our time, ever, which is artificial intelligence. And so it is crucially important because the decisions that we make today as technology leaders, as company leaders, as country leaders, may well define the next several decades of European healthcare and life sciences. So let's just take a moment to recognize and appreciate where we are because of European healthcare and life science breakthroughs. It's incredible when you look back at it. From the discovery of the structure of DNA, which really turned biology into a data discipline, to the first commercial ultrasound brought to market by Siemens, the Vitizen, which gave physicians the opportunity to peer within the human body to view anatomy, to the incredible institutions like EMBL, EBI, UK Biobank, who are not just amassing incredible amounts of biology and human health data, but building the platforms and the tools to allow the rest of the ecosystem to understand disease better. But also the countless medicines that have been brought to market by European pharma companies, perhaps most notably with the COVID-19 pandemic, the innovations that BioNTech made with the mRNA vaccine that showed Europe can actually rise to global public health challenges. And so it is clear to me that we are entering into a new era of discovery, one where artificial intelligence is actually helping scientists and physicians complete their life's work in their lifetime. Would anyone like to venture a guess as to how many Nobel Prize winners hail from European countries, specifically in chemistry and in medicine? Any guesses? It's around 220. 220. That's almost 60% of those total prizes that were awarded. Obviously, most recently was the Nobel Prize in Chemistry that was awarded to the DeepMind team, who really started working in gaming systems, working on a reinforcement learning program for AlphaGo, and borrowed those learnings and applied them to one of the grand challenges in biology, protein structure prediction. And now an entire ecosystem of biopharma and tech bio companies are leveraging machine learning to reinvent drug discovery as we know it. So incredible, incredible work in Europe. But it's not without challenges. Healthcare costs are rising. Europe spends around 2 trillion euro annually to deliver healthcare to their population. Obviously, that is just not sustainable. There are patients all over Europe in the millions who are both aging and are inflicted with chronic diseases. And so medicines need to be brought to market much faster. It still takes close to 10 years, and in some cases, $2 billion to bring a drug to market. And also, it is expected that by 2030, the immense pressures that healthcare systems are already under today is actually going to get more challenging. We're going to be short here in Europe around 4 million healthcare professionals. But looked at another way, this is actually Europe's opportunity to build AI services for healthcare in Europe and for Europe. Because sovereign AI, sovereign healthcare, it's about building services locally to serve your population, but also for the world. And Europe has a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do that. Fortunately, we are on the cusp of the next industrial revolution. When I first joined NVIDIA in 2016, we were in the age of perception AI. We were talking about convolutional neural networks for image analysis, and we were talking about LSTMs for translation. Obviously, that has since evolved into generative AI, which really allows you to translate from any one domain to any other domain, from text to image, from image to video, from sequence to protein structure. We are now entering, over the past several years, into the era of agentic AI. And agents are incredible because they can reason, they can plan, they can act, they can call tools, they can engage with humans. And agents are going to not just reinvent knowledge work as we know it, but I believe are going to reinvent scientific discovery as we know it. And of course, one of the biggest waves of artificial intelligence will be physical AI, and we'll talk a little bit about physical AI in healthcare towards the end of the presentation. Perhaps the most important application of artificial intelligence is in better understanding biology. For decades, the entire healthcare and life sciences ecosystem has been innovating on wet lab technologies to allow us to measure, to read, and to write biology. And so just a few examples of that would be Sanger sequencing, nanopore sequencing, cryo-electron microscopy, CRISPR. All of those technologies were discovered or developed here in Europe. I meant it when I said we would be nowhere without European healthcare life sciences innovation. And these technologies, paired with robotic labs, are scaling up biological data, creating what is ultimately going to be known as the Internet of Biology. That is something that is essential. We need to scale up data generation at industrial scale in this industry because we now have the ability to represent biology in a computer. Models like the transformer architecture, models like AlphaFold and Informer and DNA transformer, nucleotide transformer, excuse me, they allow us to represent biology in a computer, and their capabilities in both predicting and generating biological systems are becoming more and more impressive every day. And so we really need to build giant repositories of experimental data so that we can take advantage and unleash AI to help us understand biology. If there's one place where we need AI, it is certainly the complexities of biology. So scaling laws. If you guys have been paying attention, this is something that you are already familiar with, but I think it's worth revisiting. a lot of the incredible innovations that we've seen in the natural language LLM space have actually arisen because of scaling laws. And I like to think of these 3 scaling laws as pre-training. It's kind of like you're going to high school. You're learning a little about a lot of different subjects. You're learning how the world works, both in your classroom and, frankly, about life. Post-training is like you're going to college, and you're focused on a particular discipline. You're taking courses towards business, or you're taking courses towards biology, or you're taking courses towards computer science, really starting to understand and expand your knowledge. And finally, test time scaling, I look at it as like going to a postdoc. I never made it this far, unfortunately, but I know many of our teams actually did. And this is where you think really, really hard, and you work really hard on a particular area of research, ultimately, at the end of your postdoc, having a really fantastic product that you're hopefully bringing to market or changing the field in. And there is early evidence that these scaling laws actually apply to biology. And so on the right-hand side here, I want to walk you through just 3 different examples of models that display scaling laws across this paradigm here. So EVO2 showed us that by scaled data, scaled model size, and importantly, scaled context window, this model can understand biological sequences better than some of the other models that came before it. Genentech, who's pioneered this lab-in-the-loop approach, published a paper that showed how this recursive loop of being able to use reinforcement learning data from the lab to improve and navigate through biological space to improve medicine design has been shown to actually reduce cycle times and improve the quality of molecules that are making it to development candidate stage. And finally, test time scaling. I think this is really exciting. So there's a company out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, Nabla Bio, and their JAM system, Joint Atomic Modeling System, is capable of introspection. So it is an antibody design model, and if you let the model think for a long time, it will actually come up with better designs, in some cases, 10-fold increases in abilities. And so that, to me, is just an incredible shimmering, if you will, of how scaling laws are going to make a real large impact in this domain. But to realize these scaling laws in biology, we are going to need accelerated computing, and we are going to need lots of it. You guys saw Jensen in the keynote put up a similar slide of many of the libraries that NVIDIA builds. He mentioned that there's over 400 of them. What you're looking at here is millions of hours of engineering efforts to build domain-specific libraries for the life sciences. And so accelerated computing, as you all know, it's not just about the GPUs, right? It is about building domain-specific libraries that help address particular problems in the development or the deployment process. And so whether you are generating or preparing data, or building or adapting models, NVIDIA has this end-to-end platform for the life sciences. Let me just walk you through a few of them. On the far right-hand side here, BioNeMo microservices. This is a collection of containers of optimized models for drug discovery that we make faster, which basically means cheaper. We containerize them. We expose them via an industry standard API so that you can stitch them together into end-to-end drug discovery workflows. BioNeMo Framework is a framework for scaling up training, whether you're scaling on dozens to hundreds to thousands of GPUs, or billions or trillions of parameters, or trillions to tens of trillions of tokens. BioNeMo Framework makes that approachable for this ecosystem. MoCo is, it stands for Modular Composability. It's for building novel architectures in chemistry and biology. GNN Compose is for scaling graph neural networks, which are incredibly important when you're talking about representing molecules and chemical structures. Inference. Jensen talked about this in the keynote. Inference computing is skyrocketing because of reasoning models. And so NVIDIA has invested beaucoup dollars and engineering time in making sure that we have the best scaling inference platform on the planet. And we'll talk about a few more of these. I just want to give you a few specific examples of how these are being applied in biology. So virtual cell is one of the next grand challenges in biology. Institutions all over the world are generating large amounts of perturbed single-cell data to try and start to get the causal relationships of biology, right? And the reality is, to build a virtual cell, we're going to need not just billions, but likely trillions of samples. So no one organization themselves are going to be able to build enough data. And so what organizations actually have to do is, in addition to the data that they're generating, collect a bunch of data from either from partners or from the open source. And when you do that and try and analyze that, you can experience things called batch effects, which allow you to, which rather cause loss in biological signals from this data. And so Rapid Single Cell is an accelerated analysis package that allows you to do batch effects with Harmony. So this is an algorithm within Rapid Single Cell. And as you can see from the visual, in 4 seconds on GPU, you can do what it takes Harmony on a single-threaded CPU architecture, 20 minutes. That is what accelerated computing is all about. It is the difference between running to the bakery and getting a croissant or just having a bite of your croissant, right? It is incredibly powerful because it changes the way that people can work with data. Another crucially important library here is something called cuEquivariance. So virtually every pharma company, every CAD platform company, every tech bio company that we work with is using some flavor of biomolecular design artificial intelligence models. AlphaFold, Boltz, Chai, DiffDock, all of these models rely on fundamental geometric operations that are notoriously expensive to compute. And so this latest extension to cuEquivariance accelerates those components. We're now offering 5 times faster accelerations for bio operations like triangular attention, triangular multiplication, and also 10 times faster operations for MACE, which is important not just in drug discovery, but also materials discovery as well. And so we've been working with an entire ecosystem of partners in an early access mode to really just understand what is most challenging about building and running these models at scale. And this is a crucially important release because as these models get better, we want to use them more often. And so models like this are going to be a very large inference workload in pharmaceutical companies and drug discovery companies. All right, big news on the drug discovery AI scene. There was a new model released on Friday called Boltz 2. Boltz 2 was developed and released in the open source by MIT and Recursion. And Boltz 2 is incredible because it is the first model of its kind that can do multimodal co-folding, structure prediction, and binding affinity prediction. And so because it's multimodal, this speaks DNA, it speaks RNA, it speaks proteins, it speaks small molecules, and it can do co-folding amongst all those things. And binding affinity, this is something that has typically required physics-based calculations that are expensive and that are time-consuming. And so this affinity capability allows you to approach what's called FEP-level accuracy at a fraction of the cost. In some cases, 1/1000th of the computational cost. So the model itself is incredible, right? But I think the trend here is also something to note. And the trend is that foundation models in biology are becoming a thing. What I mean by that is that it used to be the case that there were many different discrete models that were required for an end-to-end drug discovery workflow, right? Structure prediction, docking, conformer generation, and so on, right? And you would have to stitch these together. Nowadays, a lot of those capabilities are condensed and consolidated into one model. This happened before in the large language model space. Initially, they really only dealt with text. Now they're expanding to be multimodal. They can deal with video, they can deal with imaging, they can start to do complex reasoning. And we're going to see this same expansion of capabilities happen in the biological space. So the big news in addition to the model is that our team has been working lights out to be able to wrap this up into an optimized NIM, an NVIDIA Inference Microservice. And that NIM offers 2x acceleration. It is available today on NVIDIA build.nvidia.com. So I would encourage you all who are in the drug discovery space to go check this out because 2 times faster means 2 times cheaper. For the same dollar, you can now do twice the amount of structure predictions and eventually binding affinity as well. So just incredible work. Thank you to the NVIDIA team, and congratulations to the Boltz team as well. All right, we heard something about AI factories earlier. And AI factories are the essential instrument to turn data into intelligence, right? Just like a typical factory that takes raw materials in, applies energy to it, and products come out the other side. An AI factory takes raw materials, that is data, applies computation and energy to it, and tokens or AI skills is what comes out the other side. Jensen highlighted all the work that's taken place in Europe with supercomputing centers, sovereign clouds, NVIDIA cloud partners, CSPs, to stand up the necessary infrastructure here in Europe to build these AI skills for healthcare. And one exciting new way to access AI factories is DGX Cloud Lepton. I find this to be super incredible technology. And the way that I think about it is DGX Cloud Lepton is a single platform to connect developers to compute resources wherever they might exist across the globe. And so similar to a ride-sharing app that connects riders with drivers, DGX Cloud Lepton is creating a marketplace to do the exact same thing. Providers love it because it gives them a way to developers that need their compute, which means their compute can be consumed and they can bring revenue into their organizations. Developers love it because if you can't get GPU resources in the cloud you're in today, go ahead and try DGX Cloud Lepton and you can access the necessary compute resources that you need. And so whether you are doing a large-scale training job or a large-scale data processing job and you want a batch job, or if you want to stand up a dev pod for an interactive session, or you need to stand up an endpoint for inference, all the compute that is available in the world's clouds, DGX Cloud Lepton makes available to you. So this is an incredible innovation. I'm really excited about some of the work that's taking place here in Europe with different cloud providers. And let me show you how one developer in particular is leveraging DGX Cloud Lepton today. All right, so Basecamp Research. If you guys don't know about them, you should look them up because I believe they are one of the crown jewels in the tech bio community in Europe. And what Basecamp Research has done, they're based in the UK, but they've set up a global data supply chain, right? So they're sequencing organisms all over the world. And they're collecting all of this sequencing data, and they're putting it into a database that they call Base Data. And Base Data is massive. It's 10 times larger than public data sets available today. 9.2 trillion nucleotide tokens, 9.8 billion new proteins. And the way that they're using DGX Cloud Lepton, they've got their own compute resources both locally and in the cloud. But because they wanted to scale up a model quickly, they're training a protein language model that they're going to call PLM just on a portion of base data, something like 300 million sequences. This is an ESM2 style model, and the data that they're training on is approximately double what the original ESM was trained on. And so DGX Cloud Lepton was able to connect them with the capacity that they needed to train this model. I believe it's around 256 H200s in Nebius Cloud. And we are actively, I was just touching base with Phil, we are actively training this model. Loss curves look great, and it's going to be trained and available inside Basecamp in short order. If you guys are interested in working with Basecamp, please go ahead and check out their website. This is a database that they believe can have incredible utility for the rest of the world, and they want to find ways to get it into the hands of people who are building models themselves. They are also building an entire family of models, so it's not just Eden PLM, but they'll also be building models for genomes and for metagenomes as well. So incredible work. Thank you to the Basecamp team. We just love the collaboration. All right. So it is not just early discovery that is being transformed by artificial intelligence. It is the entire biopharma industry that is becoming a technology industry. This is one of Europe's most vital industries. I believe the total market cap of some of the leading pharmaceutical companies here in Europe exceeds 1.5 trillion. The exports for European pharma companies is around 500 billion annually. This is an incredibly important market, right? And every stage of the value chain is being transformed by artificial intelligence. We talked a little bit about early discovery, anything from target identification, so understanding the causal relationships of biology, to biomolecular design, basically optimizing your shots on goal for a development candidate. But also in clinical development, there's a huge push around multimodal models here that effectively acts like almost like a recommendation engine, right? Where you're trying to recommend medicines that are likely to have the necessary effects on a particular patient's disease. Agents, we're going to talk about in just a moment. Agents are going to completely transform how pharmaceutical companies engage with physicians and engage with patients ultimately. And then manufacturing is not a low-cost labor problem. Manufacturing is now a technology problem, right? With the use of automation and robotics and digital twins. These are necessary technologies to help pharmaceutical companies scale up the manufacturing of medicines that have global reach. And so this is incredibly important that the entire pharmaceutical industry adopts these technologies. And that's why today we are incredibly excited to announce a new partnership with one of Europe's most important and oldest pharmaceutical companies, Novo Nordisk. And we are working really closely with a sovereign AI cloud provider that operates the Gefion supercomputing system called DeeCai, based in Denmark. And so this is an awesome collaboration because Novo Nordisk, as you all know, has been around for 100 years, delivering life-saving and life-changing medicines to patients. And because they've been around for a long time, they've got decades and decades worth of proprietary data across their business. And so the way that NVIDIA will be working with Novo Nordisk is to train proprietary models to impact every part of their value chain. And in particular, where we're going to start is in early discovery with computer-aided drug design. We'll be training biomolecular design models and doing large-scale inference with them, helping to do this cost-effectively and efficiently. And we'll also be training single-cell foundation models on single-cell imaging data so that they have better targets and can understand cellular responses to different potential medicines. They also have massive amounts of internal and external full-text literature that we'll be able to work with to train customized biomedical large language models. And then we're going to help Novo Nordisk set up what's called a data flywheel. A data flywheel so that they can build agents that can support their scientists and researchers do their job day in, day out, right? So we're super excited about this partnership. Thank you to the Novo team. Thank you to the DeeCai team. I think Nadia is here somewhere. DeeCai is a really impressive company because they're not only working with the likes of Novo Nordisk, but having stood up this sovereign AI infrastructure, they're working with the national health systems in Denmark, Adopt AI. They're working with the local startup community in adopting and deploying AI solutions that impact both economic development and public health. And they're working with other large enterprises as well. So please go ahead and check out DeeCai. And once again, thank you to our partners at Novo Nordisk. All right, so we're going to transition into robotics. And healthcare and life sciences needs two types of robots: physical robots and digital robots. Physical robots, they need to operate in our world. They need to learn the laws of physics. They need to learn how to operate and work with humans in a safe and effective manner. And digital robots, you can think of them almost as like AI teammates, right? And they're going to impact how we do our jobs day in, day out. As you guys have heard, and I hope you all are doing this, it is not AI who's going to replace you. It is somebody who knows how to manage a team of agents that is going to take your job. So I hope you are embracing it in full force because this is game-changing technology. That Perplexity demo that was shown in the keynote is just, it's mind-blowing. It's really, really fantastic. And so if we dive into agents, in order to build agents and keep them at the top of their game, you need to stand up what's called a data flywheel. And every enterprise is going to do this, right? Every enterprise is going to do this. You can think about a data flywheel as a continuous improvement, continuous delivery cycle that makes sure that agents are always performing with the latest data. And so if you think about the process of what a data flywheel is, you are collecting and curating data, you're doing model customization, oftentimes with SFT or LoRa. You're doing model evaluation, both on public benchmarks and on benchmarks that you've set up within your own organization, just to make sure that they are performant. You're then putting in guardrails to make sure that the model is safe and is actually adhering to the policies that you have within your organization. And then you're connecting it to basically like an enterprise search system, an information retrieval system, to make sure that it has the most up-to-date and relevant information. And here at NVIDIA, we have built a platform and, in fact, a blueprint that allows you to accelerate your adoption of this data flywheel. And so this platform is called NeMo Microservices, which is a collection of enterprise-grade tools to help you stand up this data flywheel. And we have a data flywheel blueprint, which is like a sample application that shows you how to architect this all together, right? And so I won't go into detail on what all of these different tools do, but I encourage you to check this out. This is something that whether you're a system integrator or you're a platform company or you're an enterprise, this is going to accelerate your journey of developing customized agents for your particular business. Today, we are also announcing Biomedical IQ Research Agent Blueprint. And so I talked about what blueprints are. This blueprint in particular is an example of how you can use the IQ platform to connect agents to agents, connect agents to tools, and connect agents to data, all in service of aiding biomedical research. And so let me show you what that looks like. So for this research task, we select a healthcare example on build.nvidia.com that starts with a literature search of about 50 PDFs on cystic fibrosis. You can provide the prompt or an example of how you want the report structured. Then you can choose if you want to enable web search or search only within the PDFs that you've selected. You can then select Start Generating, and you can see the model begins thinking. It begins reasoning about what the task is and how to plan and execute the research. You can see the plan includes calling tools like biomolecular design models, in this case, the BioNeMo virtual screening blueprint to run a virtual screen. And if the plan looks good, you can select Execute. And in a few minutes, you can see the agent blueprint returns a whole research report on cystic fibrosis therapies, emerging small molecules, with detailed information on target proteins, molecules, docking results. And then you can actually continue to engage with this document. You can prompt it, you can ask it questions, you can ask it to cite sources, or you can go ahead and download it as a PDF and represent it as your own work, if you'd like. So incredible work by the team here. Again, this is available as a blueprint. It works out of the box. It is a sample application. You can take it as is, or you can tweak it, customize it, change the model, change the data sets, right? So this is an incredibly powerful tool, and we're excited to put this in the hands of the ecosystem. So about 6 months ago, we announced a partnership with IQVIA. If you don't know about IQVIA, they're perhaps one of the most important healthcare companies in the world that nobody's previously ever heard about. But they are an extremely large clinical research organization that works with around 10,000 healthcare and life sciences customers. They run clinical trials, they help launch brands, and our teams over the past 6 months have been hard at work taking this NeMo platform to apply it to building customized agents within their business. And so the team put together a little video. Let me show you what that looks like.
Bringing a life-saving drug to market requires analyzing massive amounts of complex data. The pharmaceutical industry needs a faster, more automated way to extract meaning and act on it. IQVIA is using agentic AI to do exactly that, training AI agents to navigate more than 1 million data streams for clinical, medical, and commercial professionals. Its healthcare-grade AI platform combines a growing set of AI agents, each designed to streamline how insights turn into action. Built with NVIDIA Nemotron models, NIMs, and advanced safety tools, it's accelerating innovation while meeting strict regulatory standards. Take the Field Companion Agent. It uses NVIDIA Nemotron reasoning models and NeMo Retriever to help pharmaceutical sales representatives find the right providers and fine-tune their approach. It ranks providers based on location and prescription patterns, then recommends a personalized next step for the salesperson, making every interaction more targeted and effective. By By connecting data with expertise, IQVIA AI helps medicines reach the people who need them faster.
That's awesome work from the IQVIA team. Just wanted to say thank you once again for collaborating with us and on building these incredible tools. IQVIA is here at GTC Paris. So Avanab and Raja from IQVIA are going to be talking about their journey from data to digital workforces. I believe it's at 4 o'clock, directly at the end of this area of the building here. So please go check it out. You'll learn more about the NeMo platform and about how IQVIA is bringing this to life. Okay, so there are going to be thousands of agents. These are just a small sampling of some of the companies that we're working with on agents that never get tired, never take vacations, never have sick days, and can deliver really valuable agentic services to the healthcare and life sciences ecosystem. So TherapySide empowers therapists with AI agents that automate administrative tasks like session summaries and appointment management. Cytoreason, who's here in the room here today, thank you for coming, team, leverages AI agents to build and analyze computational disease models. Sword Health's AI care platform combines human clinical specialists with AI agents to deliver personalized digital physical therapy. And Corti provides AI agents that offer real-time clinical insights and automate documentation during patient interaction. So thank you to all of our partners that are building on NVIDIA. Can't wait to see what you build next. Thank you. All right, so we talked about digital robots. Let's talk about physical robots. And first, let's talk about the scale that physical robots are needed in healthcare and life sciences, right? There are 7,000 manufacturing facilities, 45,000 research labs, 160,000 hospitals, 400,000 operating rooms, 14 million patient rooms. If I'm an entrepreneur building robotics in healthcare, I'm hearing these numbers and I'm drooling. Like, this is the total addressable market opportunity of robotics in healthcare, and it is enormous. Physical AI is going to have an incredible impact on healthcare and life sciences. We've been working towards building physical AI here at NVIDIA for a really long time. NVIDIA Healthcare started in the diagnostic imaging space, probably about almost 2 decades ago, where at the time, we were working with some of the leading diagnostic imaging providers, taking raw sensor data and transforming that into something that was interpretable by a human. Today, we're working with the entire medical device ecosystem, not just doing sensor processing, but helping transform their instruments into something that is software-defined and AI-enabled, right? And so just a few examples here. With Philips, we've established a collaboration. We are training models for their MR platform, and these models will enhance image quality, they will accelerate scan times, and they will improve diagnostic accuracy. With Mfusion, we're helping them build advanced simulation and imaging environments so that they can work with the ecosystem of medical device providers in the design, the prototype, the validation of the instruments that they're building. Again, building in silico before you ever build in the physical world. And we're also working with Barco, who is on a mission to make every operating room smart. And so they are putting what is in effect a robot brain, a real-time computing system in every operating room, and they are connecting many sensors to it, imaging, video, voice, and then displaying that on a real-time interactive display in the operating room, removing barriers and making operating rooms frictionless. So these are just, Barco. These are just a few of the partners that we've been working with. But in order to build physical AI, you need all 3 of these computers working together, right? So if you're going to build physical AI, you need models that work, right? And these models need to be robust. And so you need a computer to train the models in the first place. Once you've trained the model, you then need to, you don't just put it in the robot and hope it works, you need to validate it, right? So you need to bring it to a simulation computer. And so we've been spending time building out this simulation environment that obeys the laws of physics, that is visually realistic, and so that if your model doesn't perform well, you can actually generate a bunch of synthetic data, give it more learning examples in a simulated environment, right? And then once you've validated the models, you need to deploy it in a robot brain, if you will, and that needs to be a real-time system, and And NVIDIA's been working on all three of these computers for a long time. Beautiful things happen when you stitch these three computers together. Let me show you what that looks like.
I'm Anne Ozdoy, I'm the CEO at Moon Surgical, and I do this job because I'm passionate about bringing new technologies to patients. So we believe, and I think everyone believes, that the future is robotic, in the sense that there's going to be a continuum of solutions that enhance surgery and turn it into something that is robotic and digital. Partnering closely with NVIDIA is about two things: acceleration and then just sheer feasibility. So the Maestro concept, which we uncovered in the lab with Professor Gaillet in 2020, was striking, right? At the beginning, it was an extremely transversal approach. It was delivering a very unique surgical feel and experience to the users, and it was clearly applicable to a vast number of surgeries.
If you look today's robotic, it's a fantastic. With Maestro, you learn laparoscopy and you can teach laparoscopy because your hand could be free. The idea to have a Maestro was to really come back to the control of everything thanks to Maestro and thanks to eventually AI and other features. I think it will be impossible for the young generation to become surgeon if we have no simulation. And evidently, the advantage of simulation is you can also simulate accident. You can also simulate variation. AI is necessary to make a real step.
It's a system that is adapting to your practice. Everybody in the OR, the assistant, the anesthesiologist, everyone is very excited, trying to push the future and the limits of minimally invasive surgery the further we can, as long as it benefits society and the patients.
Awesome, I love that video. Anne and the Moon Surgical team are here at GTC. They will be presenting tomorrow. I believe it's around 2 p.m. Highly encourage you to go check that out. Thank you to the Moon Surgical team. The team really appreciates the collaboration. And so we called this three-computer solution for physical AI in healthcare Isaac for Healthcare. And so please go check out Isaac for Healthcare on NVIDIA's website. And if you're building physical AI for healthcare, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. This is just a quick example of just a few of the many robotics companies that we are working with in healthcare and life sciences. There are surgical robots like Canova from Zeiss, LEM Surgical, and Ascensus. There are clinical robots like SquareMind's Swan Robot and Brainlab's LoopX imaging robot. And then there's assistive robots like Enchanted Tools, Meroki, to interact with patients and healthcare workers alike, and then Wandercraft's exoskeleton, and I believe Wandercraft is now expanding beyond exoskeletons into humanoid robotics as well. So many of these companies, believe it or not, are building right here in Paris as well, and so thank you to this ecosystem of partners who are building physical AI for healthcare. All right, to bring us home today, we talked about what a rich history Europe has in driving healthcare and life science breakthroughs. And now is an incredibly important moment in time to build the companies, to build the platforms, to build the solutions that may well define the next several decades of European healthcare AI, right? And Europe has all the essential ingredients. You have rich digital biology and human health data in biobanks and in national health systems. You have incredible talent pools for artificial intelligence and machine learning and healthcare and biology from some of the leading research universities across the world. And as we talked about, you now have the essential infrastructure for the AI revolution and AI factories available at your fingertips through an ecosystem of partners that NVIDIA works with here in Europe. And so Europe has, once again, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build AI services in Europe, and for the rest of the world. And so with that said, I think that's all we have time for. We've got an incredible group of speakers, some of which who are starting, I believe, in just 10 minutes on this very stage, so I encourage you to check it out. We might have to exit the room and then come back in. But I just wanted to thank everyone for participating. Thank you to this ecosystem. Thank you to the NVIDIA team, and thank you, Vivatech. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.